Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most badassest glass costume of them all? Well, nobody knows yet, but we do have the costume chamber in the portal again today. So, of course, we're going to have a look at the new glass costumes that have been released. And it could be one of these bad boys. So we have Elkanen. We have my boy, I forgot his name now because of the way he looks, Obakan. And then, of course, the 4-star for Caedmon. So we're going to have a closer look at these new glass costumes. We do have a couple others that have been released, but really not very many. And this guy was actually on the calendar to be released in this glass portal, but he hasn't been. We've still got his tune. I'm still going to be waiting for the glass costume for this guy. But anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get on with these heroes. So let's start off with Elkanen. So I do like Elkanen, actually. If I haven't said this before, I do actually think he's a really good hero. I like the Toon costume. The Toon costume gives a boatload of damage with his hit. And the fact that he heals based on the hit, it really makes him that much more difficult to kill. Now, add in all of those good passives and things that he's got going on in the Toon version, at least, and you've got a pretty awesome hero. Now, in terms of the glass costumes, they have changed around the passives so they don't actually benefit from the Toon passive. And I know I mentioned this in a previous video, but I think that the Toon passive, with a chance to resist all status ailments, mana reductions, and buff dispels, is going to be in pretty much every single case better than a 60% extra chance to reflect status ailments back to the attacker. And there wasn't much pushback on this, to be honest. The consensus across the board is that these glass costumes are not quite as good as the Toon costumes, but there are some cases in where they're going to be able to work better. So it does give you another option to be able to reflect status ailments back if you've got a team that's heavy in status ailments and you don't just want to withstand them. Then perhaps on attacking teams and things like that, the glass costumes will be better. But the main thing we're looking at here is the stat boosts and also any kind of small changes in the special. So with Elkanen, he is going to be of the cleric class in this version. So that is the same as the original and the Toon version. He is going to be of the classic family. So of course they get a bonus where you put these heroes together. It actually works really well with the Toons and the glass costumes. Now, when you put them all together on the same team, those bonuses, they're for attack and defense and for healing, and they just stack one on top of each other. Anywhere up to, it's 2, 3, 4, or 5 heroes, which is absolutely ridiculous. Plus, you get the benefit of the talent tree where they get the superior mana shield or superior whatever the heck it is that they get on their talents. And that still only applies to the Season 1 heroes. Season 2 are getting left in the dust, but that does only apply to the Season 1 heroes. So for this guy, 60% chance to resist direct mana reductions and reflect negative mana effects and effects that prevent the use of special skills. I mean, that is all huge. And if you go for the master, he recovers 10% health on top of that as well. But that's where I say you don't really need the passive because he's doing that as part of his talent. And it's a 60% chance, so it's pretty damn high. So why would you not go with the Toon version? Sorry, the Toon version, you have to click all the way to the end, but why would you not go with this? So anyways, let's have a look at this version. So the Toon Spear Special, 410% damage to the target, minor damage to the nearby, and then heals the caster for 35% of the damage dealt and deals extra damage against ice. So that extra damage against ice is huge. It's an extra 50% damage against ice. But the damage 410 and the healing that he gives himself is pretty damn decent because he's dealing damage to the target and to the nearby enemies as well. So now for the glass costume for Elkanen, he's doing 420% damage to the target and minor damage to nearby. And he's now healing himself for 37% of the damage dealt. So we've seen an increase in the amount of damage to the target and to the nearby, and also an increase in the amount of heal that he gives himself. So it's good. I mean, it's all good news. And like I say, in terms of attacking, I would probably go with this version of Elkanen. But for defense, I would still be stuck with the Toon. And the Toon also gets the same ether talent, so the special boost. So there's no changing around or swapping around of things there. But I still think Elkanen is a good hero. So congrats if you do manage to grab this Toon. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you think he'd be useful for. But I think as a damage dealer and actually quite a good defensive hero because he is running at fast speed, just the ability to deal damage and heal himself at the same time is really, really good. And, you know, add that all together with the mana shield that he gets from the superior mana shield, you got a pretty damn decent hero for defense. Now, this dude, I love. I mean, I really love this guy. I like the way he looks. I like everything about him. But the best costume for Obakan is this one, where he counterattacks and then the nearby allies regenerate a moderate amount of mana for each counterattack. So kind of like the costume Cyprian, except he's running at fast speed. And unfortunately, he doesn't get the damage reduction. But that's the best costume for Obakan. Then the tune comes out, and now he's dealing 390% damage to the target, minor to nearby, but with a pretty huge attack stat. And that makes it to where Obakan is now a usable hero, again. But he's still very selfish in that he gives himself the counterattack. It's just a single counterattack. But remember, he also gets this tune passive where you cannot dispel the counterattack. So what I'm thinking, and follow me on this one, is with the glass costume, it's not going to be the same, because even if he is dealing more damage, he still gives the counterattack, and now he can be dispelled because the passive doesn't prevent you from removing it. So pretty big one, actually. If you are going to be playing Obakan on defense, again, I would say the tune version is going to be, pardon me, that's going to be your bread and butter all day long. So his special, obviously we've read over that one. Let's go over the brand new one. So 400% damage to the target, minor to the nearby enemies, and he now counterattacks with 120% of the damage received for 4 turns. So like I said, it's very tempting because he counterattacks with 110% of the damage received, 120 now rather than 110. But the passive prevents him, or gives him a 75% chance to resist status elements and buff dispels. That's the important part about this, is that 75% chance that you're not going to be able to dispel that counterattack. With this version, forget about it. Doesn't matter. You can dispel the counterattack at ease. So that's why I say he's only really going to be more useful in this version for attack. Still a great hero for defense, but if I had to pick between him and Elkanen, I would go with Elkanen 100%. I mean, look, 400% damage versus 420% damage. A hitter that can heal himself for a decent amount versus a hitter that counterattacks where it can be dispelled. And the right class, so the superior mana shield's a heck of a lot better than the superior bleed. Can't even remember what the superior wound is now. It's just a higher chance to deal 80% of the damage done by the normal attack and do that as bleed damage. It's really not that good. So yeah, I mean, both of the heroes are decent, but Elkanen is pretty much in a world of his own. Now let's go back in and we will have a look at this guy, because he's probably the one I'm slightly more excited about, to be honest. So Caedmon, and again, the costume for Caedmon that you want is this one, where he deals the same amount of damage to the target nearby, and the target nearby are immune to new status effect buffs, and he dispels buffs from the target nearby. He's doing everything. He's doing it right. This is the version of Caedmon that you want. Good news is if you pull the glass version, you get this version anyway. So congratulations. Now this version of Caedmon, well, let's have a quick look at the tune version first, like we've been doing with these other ones, because we are comparing the benefits of having these glass costumes versus the tunes. And so far, I don't really see it. I think that there's very niche cases to where it's slightly better. Like I said, on attack, maybe slightly better than defense. But, you know, other than that, it's really just a stat boost. Anyways, so the tune costume for Caedmon, we're just going to go straight in and look at the specials. So he was dealing 350% damage to the target, extra damage against ice. So again, like I said, that's an extra 50% damage against ice, and dispels buffs from all enemies. So that is really useful. The fact that he can dispel buffs from all enemies. Obviously, the tune passive we've gone over about 1 million times now, but it is super duper useful for these heroes. And the special skill boost means that he gets the extra 30% damage on his special skill for the first 6 turns of the battle. So there's quite a lot to like about this version of him. But like I say, if I'm on attack, I find myself, I do have the tune for Caedmon, But I find myself using this version of Caedmon far more often. I just don't bother, and the toon passive, really, I don't care about it when I'm on attack. I know what I'm up against. But then again, it can be really useful. It can be used, and it is a higher amount of damage, 350 as opposed to 275. Just remember, it's a snipe versus a hit 3. And it is a dispel to all versus a dispel to 3. So there are upsides and downsides of both. Now, we've got this new glass costume, which has the special called Glass Strike. That health looks really low, though. Check that out. That's definitely a glitch in the matrix there. Check it out. His team power its second limit breaks is 746. That's amazing. I'm so glad I wasn't going over stats, but now that we are looking at stats, that's a pretty major blunder. I mean, look, 2053, and then what is even going on there? I mean, he's got the same costume bonuses and everything else. It's not even supposed to be 1,620 health. It's probably supposed to be like 2,000 or something. Anyway, we're just going to try and ignore that massive blunder for now. So now with the Glass Strike, he's dealing 360% damage to the target. All enemies get negative 34% attack for 3 turns. Let's just check if that's new. Okay, so they are making some changes. What's up, guys? Sorry about that. Speaking of massive blunders, my mic literally cut out because it didn't have any batteries left right towards the end of that. So just to recap what I was saying about Caedmon, I do like the fact that he's now got the negative 34% attack for 3 turns on top of everything else that he's doing. And that is what I wanted when they were releasing these costumes initially. That's what I was asking for, is at least some kind of change around from the original, because there we get the extra damage against ice, and now we get the negative 34% attack. So he is the first glass costume they've decided to do this with, and I really freaking hope with my fingers and toes crossed firmly that this is not the end and that they continue to do this with the other heroes. So that being said, that's literally everything that I've got to say about these heroes, because I don't have the mic, I don't have the time, and I got to get going. But I wish you guys everything of the best. Please do let me know what you guys think about Elkanen, what you think about Obakan's new glass costume, and also, of course, what you think about my man Caedmon. Drop us a like. If you're not subscribed, then please do consider subscribing to the channel already. We do have memberships as well, so if you want to join the channel and you want to support me, that would be amazing. Share it with your mother, and I will see you all again in the next video. Bye for now, guys.